Hi guys, in today's review we'll be on several different livery Hornby 4 and 6 wheel coaches. So we have the Era 2 style coaches, which is the LSWR salmon and brown, I believe. They're in the front. And then behind it we have a southern coach. And then behind that we have a BR Eastern region coach as well in the maroon or red. The reason I'm reviewing these is because I have never ever reviewed the LSWR, the southern and a BR one. I have a grey and blue electric one in a BR by Hornby and Hattons, which was a generator unit. I do have that coach, but I've never reviewed these. These were a Christmas present off a loved one, and the note came with it saying, please review these. These are your Christmas presents, so please review them. I am going to review them. If you want the codes will be in the detail part when the actual coach shows up. It's easier than putting a massive thing on screen now and doing it. I do love these 4 and 6 wheel coaches by Hornby and Hattons. So let's get into it and see if these are any good and do we have some great liveries here or not. So here it goes. Starting off at the details, you get to add and a piece of paper to tell you what you might have with your coach. So let's start with the piece of paper. On one side you have about the batteries and how to take the body apart. It's pretty easy, just get your thumb under and yank it out. Just careful, it is like, depending on the size of the coach, there's either 4 or 6 clips holding it in. And then you can get to the chassis of the coach with the weight and all your good stuff about the lights. The lights do use a magnet if you have one, and they also have a watch style battery as well to add to it. I do have a coach in the collection here that you'll see that does have a light, but I won't be using it as far as I am aware. On the other side, it tells you how to add the footboards. And then you just slot them into the holes, depending on the coach style, is depending on how big the footboard is. So if it's 6 wheeled, they are longer and they have more to add to the coach. But if it's a 4 wheeled one, it's quite a small one, you have only 4 holes to add the footboards to. Speaking of the footboard, the footboards are made out of plastic. When you add them, you don't really need to use glue, but some people do. And they do bend quite easy, they're quite flexible. Like I said, depending on your preference of the coach, if it's a 4 or 6 wheeled, is depending on the size of the footboard. And all footboards from Hornby do come in a plastic seal bag as well. So now, as we move on to the ends of the coach, on these Hornby 4 and 6 wheel generic coaches, depending on the coach end is depending what sort of detail you get. So all the coach ends do have the same style NEM pocket slimline tension lock coupler. We also have some metal unsprung buffers, and the buffers themselves, buffers head themselves are, I think, concave, they go in, but they are metal. I believe we have metal shanks. The buffer beam as well, I believe, could be metal as well. Most buffer beams are black. We do have a hook in there with a moulded on chain link. There's a few rivets as well to the buffer shanks. And then we have the steam pipe or vacuum pipe applied to all of the coaches from Hornby's 4 and 6 wheel coaches. This for me is where it gets a little bit interesting. As far as I'm aware, we have 3 different ends to the coach. And them ends are, so we have wood planning all of them. And then we have one with 3 lamp irons, which are moulded on all the coaches in a triangle shape, and then we have one with steps and some grab rails or handrails picked out depending on the livery of the coach, depending on what colour the handrails are. The next one we have is a end with the wood panelling, again also has the lamp irons as well moulded on, but it has no steps and it has no handrail at the top, but depending on delivery, depending on what style panelling you have. Then finally, as far as I'm aware, we have the brake version. So that consists of wood panelling cut in half. It also has 3 lamp irons, again in a triangle shape, and it has steps. But halfway up to the top we have glazing. Inside that glazing you can look through and you will see a wood effect and you will see a brake handle as well. And at the top, because it has steps, you also have a grab rail, and again depending on the livery, depending on what colour the grab rail is. And because it's a brake one, you also have a guard stuckets to look at, which I'll get into more detail in a minute. So that's for me I believe the 3 versions of the coach ends you get. So let's move on to the liveries that you get, some of the features you get on the coaches. Let's start with the LSWR 4-wheelers. So the livery for both of these LSWR pre-grouping liveries are, I think it's salmon and chocolate or salmon and brown. It does look quite nice. We don't have any lining as such, but if you look carefully you can see some red lining on some of the panelling. So let's move to the baggage car, or the full brake as I like to call it. The product code for this one is R40295 and it is number 82. Again, this one is a beauty. It's all salmon and brown with a few bits of lining. It does have two lots of double doors. One that says guard and the other one says luggage. The one without the window is the luggage one and the one with the window is for the guard. You can also see that guard ducket I was telling you about. That does have separate applied tiny bit of glazing in there. And you can see the LSWR in a gold and brown livery. Both of my LSWR ones have the same underframe detail. I believe these are, I think they're oil or gas. I get confused. I think they're more gas. We do have wooden wheels inserts and the outside are metal. There's a few bits of detail on the underframe. The underframe does come away from the body like I've said. There's a few bits of rivets and springs and axles on there. Now let's move to the third brake, as it's called by Hornby, and the product code you need for that one is R40063 and it is number 179. And the more I look at this livery, the more I'm impressed by it. It's quite nice. It's one of the better pre-whipping liveries I have in my collection. So again, on the guard ducket we do have the LSWR. We also have the word guard on the double doors. We have a few spare panelling. Then we get to the third class seats. And the grab handles on the doors, even though they look to be separately applied, I do think they are moulded on pretty well. Again, you can see in there to see the colour of the seats as well, which I'll get into in a minute. Again, the underframe detail is exactly the same as the baggage car. And at the top on all of them, they do have, I think, an air vent, and some of them do have a wood surround on the windows as well, especially the door ones. The vents do look quite nice. As we now move on to the Southern Railway 6-wheeled coach from Hornby, the product code for this is R40086A, and this is a third class coach. The number you need, or the number for the coach, is 1909, and this is in the southern green or olive green, I believe. It does have some lining in yellow, and again, like I said, it is a third class. The handrails or grab rails for the doors again are in a gold and they do look to be crisply moulded. The doors themselves have a drop down window which has a wood effect going around it. Some of the doors have vents above them. Again, they look quite nice on this livery. Then at the top we do have Southern on some of the boards going across. Each door, like I said, is a third. As we move on down you can see we have 3 lots of wheels, which makes it a 6-wheeler. We have a few rivets on the chassis. We do have a box on this one, so I think this is the electric one. We have axles and springs again. We have the wood wheels with metal surroundings, and the middle lot of wheels are floated. They swivel quite well. But overall, this is a nice looking era-free coach. As we move on now to the British Railway livery 6-wheeled third class brake. So the product code for this one is R40126. Like I said, it's a 6-wheeled and it's the Eastern number, so it's E31185E. And this one does have lights, but I'm going to take the lights out because I don't use them. That is why you can see a white tab underneath. So this is a third brake. It does have the word guard on the double doors near the guard ducket. And again, like the others, the guard ducket has a small bit of glazing in there. We do have a handle on it too, again in gold. And the rest of it is a third class compartment. I believe we do have a few signs in the window which I think say non-smoking. Then right near the end we do have the number of the coach in a basic BR livery lettering, I believe. There's no picked out panelling on this. Even the drop down windows and the doors are, well, what is it, maroon? Red and maroon. Again, we do have panelling, but like I said, nothing's picked out at all. And then again, it's the same as the Southern coach. It's a 6-wheeled. The middle wheels do swivel from side to side to go around tighter bends. I believe again that this is electric. We have axles and springs, a few rivets, and that's about it. I did say the white tab in the centre is for the lighting on this coach. It's a shame from a nice livery to the BR livery. They do look different coaches. As we now take a look inside the BR version third class coach. So as you can see, it does have a weight in the centre of the coach. We also have the seating in red. I think the third class is red and any first, I believe, are blue or green. I have that correct. We sort of have separate compartments going on. Then at the end, we have a wood floor effect going on and a hand brake wheel, if you have that correct. So that should be the same in the brake coaches I have. But if you look closely, the middle seats are raised. That is where the battery is kept or put. And you can see the lighting strip in the top of the roof, and you can also see the glazing for the coach as well. So I'm guessing all of them do have a glazing bar. At the moment, I can't seem to get rid of the mag light system that Hornby put in here. As we now take a look at the inside and the roof of the Southern Green one. On top, I do believe we have a rain ducket on either side. All the coaches have a rain ducket actually. Goes from one end to the other. We also have some lights on here, or what would be in real life lights. And I believe these are electric. This does have a massive glazing bar again. The seats are red because they are third class. Again, we have some rays. That is if you want to add lighting, you can. That's where you put the battery and then wire it up to the roof. As you can see, we have a weight in the centre again, like we do on the BR one. But underneath is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So on the underneath, you have a hole for where the tab would normally be if you have a light. We have a few bits of detail here. We have I think it's a generator box on either side. We also have a cylinder. I believe these are all for the lights in real life. You can see the NEM pockets. You can also see some molded on bracing and rivets. You can see the Hornby made in China sign as well. I do apologise if I've got anything wrong on this, but they are easy to take apart. As we now take apart the four-wheeled LSWR coaches, I'm only going to do the third class brake, just to give you an idea what the brake is like. So we have pots on top of the roof. The roof is in like a light grey with rain duckets. The pots are picked out in black. I am not sure if they are, or I forgot, if they are gas or oil, so I do apologise, but they are separately applied. Again, the seats on this one are in red, and they have the centre ones lifted up for the battery, as you know. We do have a separately applied handbrake wheel with some wood effect going on for the flooring. The baggage or full brake is just the wheel and the wood flooring the length of this one here, so there's no point me taking that one apart. There's no difference really apart from the inside. We have a weight on the chassis and a few lug holes to put your shell and body back together. Then on the other side, we have some separately applied piping, which, like I said before, is either for oil or gas. Then we have some hole details in there for, I'm guessing, for electric versions of it later in life, e.g. the BR ones, even the Southern ones. We only have two lots of wheels, so it's a four-wheeler. We have the NEM pockets, a few bits of molding on bracing and Hornby made in China sort of stuff, and that's really about it. So next up, I will be showing you how to add the plastic footboard you get in the detail bag. This is pretty easy. Some people recommend to use glue, others don't. So I'm going to use the four-wheeler for this because it's easier than doing the six-wheeler for me. So if you look just there, you can see one hole either side of the wheels, and that's basically where you aim to put it. Trying to do this on camera is a little bit hard for me. So one there, one there. It just simply slots in like so. Pretty easy. It takes two seconds if that. You don't have to add glue, but some people do. You don't really have to add these either, but I think they look a lot better with it. So next up will be the coupling test, see if they can manage that. That's why they're all separate, so you can see if they all connect together. The loco we'll be using is a Bachmann one. It's a Bachmann pre-grouping Caledonian 812. I think we've all connected well. Yep, perfect. So yeah guys, that's the end of the running session and the review. Before I give my opinion, I do what I normally do, which is tell you the locomotive that was pulling it. And this is a pre-grouping livery locomotive by Bachmann, and it's the Caledonian 812 as built. I just thought I'd match it with a pre-grouping-ish style stock with a pre-grouping-ish style loco, plus the coaches are pre-grouping, I believe, as well to style it anyway. So before I get on and give my opinion on the coaches, I'll tell you the price I paid roughly. Like these are a present from a loved one, and they're gone from Hatton's, like I've said, so I'm not too sure on the price. But looking around on the internet, you're talking around, could be 30 or 27, but prices may differ. So my opinion on the coaches are good, especially the four-wheel coaches are very, very free-rolling indeed. The six-wheeled for me are a little stiff. I think it's more to do with the middle wheels. They don't run as smooth as some of the Hatton's one, if I'm honest with you. So you had to use a more powerful pre-grouping locomotive to move the coaches. That's why I went with the Caledonian 812 instead of the LSWR improved present class. It was struggling to pull the coaches at a reasonable speed or realistic style speed on one side of my board. It would just wheel spin, and I put that down to the six-wheeled versions. If I added some more four-wheeled and got rid of the six-wheeled, no issues at all at a realistic speed. So that's why we got the Caledonian locomotive. Like I said, they do come with lights. The lights should be being sent off to a friend of mine who would like them. So I couldn't really test the lights. I wasn't willing to test them because I wanted it brand new for when they arrived at his place. But at least they look the part. These pre-groupings are based on, I think, Stradley coach, and they do match well with the Hatton's versions, if you can still get the Hatton's ones, obviously. They don't look too different, but there is a little bit of difference in the liveries and the coach styles. It has seating in there. It doesn't have luggage racks, but it has seating. You do get a brake wheel in your brakes, which you don't on the Hatton ones. And we have different styles of roofs, different styles of lighting, and livery options. I think you can get some of the LSWR ones in a six-wheeled version, and I believe you can get some of the Southern ones or the BR ones in a four-wheeled version. So yeah, it's a nice mix and match out there. For me, I always like pre-grouping styled liveries, so I'd always tend to look at them more than the big four and the BR ones. So for me, even at 30, yeah, it's a win for me. Like I said, the only criticism is the six-wheeled are a little bit stiff. That's really about it. So I hope you enjoyed the review. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. So please take care and goodbye.